Laser sights increase confidence regardless of experience level, whether you're learning the fundamentals or overcoming aging eyes. Crimson Trace, making laser sight standard equipment. Visit crimsontrace.com to find a dealer near you.
Today on Tom Gresham's Gun Talk, hear from an agent who was involved in one of the most infamous law enforcement gun battles in America. Plus, the chance to apply to own an Army Surplus 1911 is almost over, and a whole lot more. So call in with your questions, comments, and range reports to 866-TALK-GUN. That's Tom Talk Gun. And now, the star of our show, here's Tom Gresham.
Well, we are going to have some fun today. I am here to tell you. Hey, I'm Tom Gresham, and it's called Gun Talk. We're going to be talking about guns. And that requires, well, unless you just want to hear me yak forever, that requires you to call in and let's talk about guns. Your guns, my guns, the guns you're looking for, the guns you got rid of that you wish you hadn't. Yeah, we all have some of those. Our number here is 866-TALK-GUN, or easier, just dial Tom Talk Gun. Very easy. I just got in from Chicago. I was in Chicago yesterday at the Gun Rights Policy Conference. It's held annually. Let's see. Oh, yeah, before I forget, next year it will be in Phoenix. If you can make it, I think you would enjoy it. I know you'd learn a lot. It's invigorating. It's exciting. It's like getting your battery recharged. You got the gun rights movement there. And this year, I was really glad to see representatives from the NRA there. NSSF was represented. Of course, the Second Amendment Foundation, GOA was there, Citizens Committee for the Right to Keep and Bear Arms, and dozens, probably, of state groups were represented there. Gold from Massachusetts, Illinois, Arizona, on and on, Georgia Carey, on and on and on. Lots of groups talking about what are their challenges, what are they succeeding at, what do they need help in? How are they fighting things? What's going on? What's working in the courts? What's working in the legislatures? It was interesting. It was fascinating. I also got a chance to introduce Curt Schilling, of course, the legendary Major League pitcher, three World Series wins, postseason record, lifetime record of 11-2. Unbelievable. Interesting guy and really, really sharp on Second Amendment stuff. Very good speaker. That was fun. That was a hoot. By the way, if you are listening to this and if you did attend GRPC, you could give a range report. You could give us a call and let us know how it was. Was it your first time? Have you been many times? How was it? And what's your take? Because people hear me talk about it, but I'd love to hear other people explain, this is what I get out of it. It's very, very interesting. Now, today we are going to be talking about, we're kind of going to be bouncing around, but there's some really important things going on. We're going to have two different people on here who have been through serious gunfights, real serious stuff. We're going to have the lessons that they can impart to you in terms of keeping yourself safe in your workplace as you go around. Also choices of guns, of ammo, of bullets, of everything, what works, what's been tested, retested. And then we're going to talk a little bit later on in the show about this incredible program from the Civilian Marksmanship Program where you can buy Army Surplus 1911 pistols. We'll have a spokesman from CMP here, and we'll have the details. So if you want to know, how does it work? What do I do? How do they select the guns? We'll have all of that as well. But until we get that started, it's going to be you, it's going to be me. When I emceed the awards luncheon yesterday in Chicago at GRPC, the Gun Rights Policy Conference, and I always like to start off with a, 10-minute talk or something. And I never know exactly what I'm going to say till I get there. I don't prep. I kind of sit through the morning sessions and start to build up an idea. And so when we started in the morning, yesterday morning, I'm sitting there with my notes. I'm scribbling out these notes and these different things I want to say. And I want to make this point of how we should fight this way, and how we could be persuasive this way, and here's some things we need to do to appeal to the broader spectrum of people in the public, and on and on and on. I kind of have all my talking points. And then an interesting thing happened, and here's the thing. I've been talking about this same list of things for 20 years. going to GRPC, talking about it here. It's like, sometimes you're the voice in the wilderness. You wonder, is anybody listening? Is anybody hearing this stuff? Because I know it works. I know this is what we need to do. And so I'm all ready to go, and then panel after panel after panel stole everything I was going to say. And so when I got up there for this several hundred group, I said, normally it'd be a speaker's worst nightmare to have everything you're going to say taken before you get up there. Other speakers have already covered it all. But it wasn't horrible. It was wonderful. Because people are hearing. I mean, people were saying, look, you got to stop talking about liberals, because about 25% of liberals say they support the Second Amendment. I mean, strongly support them. Maybe NRA members. You never know. Can you really afford to throw away 20% of your support? I think I started talking about that about 15 years ago at GRPC. Made some people mad. They wanted to have somebody to bash. There's an element of tribalism in all of this, of us versus them, of the other. You have to be able to badmouth the other. And some of it, I swear, I think some of our folks would rather fight than win. They want to make sure they always have somebody to fight and to be superior to, as opposed to actually being persuasive and winning the argument, winning the legislation, winning the lawsuit. I am reminded of the numerous no compromise groups. Yeah, really? Okay, cool. How's that working for you? You don't get anything done, do you? I'm sorry. Does that offend you? Yeah, good. No compromise means you don't know how to work the system. You are a babe in the woods. You are, dare I say it, ignorant of the way things are. If you want 100 things and you can get 20 of them, that's a really good thing. And you know what? Because that means next year you can have another 100 things and get 20 of them. And the next year you can get 20 of them. That's called being smart. That's playing the long game. And trust me, the gun ban folks are playing the long game. I just recently put up online some pictures from articles in 1955 titled "Turn in That Handgun." It's a call to ban handguns in 1955. Amazing, isn't it? It really is. Of course, as you might expect, some of us at GRPC kind of get to the corner and then we start talking about, well, what guns do you shoot? What'd you get recently? Because I go back and forth between Louisiana and out west, I'm in the mountains a good bit. And I probably have mentioned a number of times that I've been carrying a .357 Magnum. And not because I really have to, but I'm thinking about maybe upgrading, maybe a .44 Special or Magnum. I'm not sure which. Sent a note to Jeff Hoffman over at Black Hills Ammo. I said, how's that honey badger ammo work for bear protection? And he sent me a bunch of pictures of gelatin blocks that they had shot, comparing the .357 and the .44 Magnum. It really wasn't much comparison. The .44 Magnum was so much more impressive. And you're going, okay, well, that makes sense. A lot more energy, bigger bullet, good deep penetration. Well, there you go. Hey, you know what that is? I have self-enabled. I have enabled myself to go buy a gun. I did have several people at GRPC come up and say, just want to say, appreciate you enabling me. So there you go. Everybody gets a blanket enabling here. You do have my permission to go out and buy the gun that you want. Maybe even two. All right, so we are open lines for you right now. If you'd like to join us, it's 866-TALK-GUN. Tell me about the gun that you have thought about buying, or maybe one that you did, or did you take somebody to the range, have one of those cool experiences? We love those kind of range reports. 866-TALK-GUN. I'm Tom Gresham.
Brownells has gone retro. Check out Brownells' new line of retro AR-15 and AR-style 308 rifles at brownells.com/retro. Whether you're looking for Eugene Stoner's original 308 design, the famous M16A1, Air Force 601, or the XM177 carbine, Brownells has the classic, new production, old-school rifle of your dreams. Own the firearm you used in basic training, carried in service, or that Grandpa always talks about. See more at brownells.com/retro.
Since 1937, Ducks Unlimited has led the charge on wetlands and waterfowl conservation. Wetlands reduce the effects of flooding and recharge our drinking water. But perhaps most importantly, they allow us to experience what makes the outdoors so great. Band together to rescue our wetlands.
Attacks happen every day. How will you react? See real people put into real-life criminal attack situations on First Person Defender. Discover what works and what doesn't. Kidnapping, ATM robbery, home invasion, and other attacks. Learn how to save your life and the lives of your family. Get the entire first season on DVD at shopguntalk.com. Get prepared. shopguntalk.com.
Built to perform in the harshest conditions, the Ruger American pistol can take it all, from ice to dust and everything in between. The Ruger American pistol features a short take-up trigger, no-vac sights, and a recoil-reducing barrel cam with low-mass slide for reduced felt recoil. Plus, a modular grip system with 3 sizes to fit almost any hand. Check it out at Ruger.com. The Ruger American pistol, because anything else would be un-American.
How the gun ban lobby, they're really good at verbiage, coming up with words that don't really mean anything, but then they take on a meaning. Saturday night special, junk gun, assault weapon, of course, being one of the best ones they ever came up with because it means nothing and it means everything. Case in point, in Washington State, the initiative on the ballot there would classify every .22 semi-automatic rifle, .22 rimfire, dinky cartridge, as an assault weapon. How can that be? Well, because there is no definition of an assault weapon. It's actually a term that doesn't mean anything. People say, well, yeah, you know what it means. No, and you can't explain it to me because there is no definition. There is a definition for the term assault rifle. Select fire, as in i.e. machine gun. That's an assault rifle. But assault weapon, there's no definition. So different states write it different ways. The feds have written it different ways. And now the state of Washington is going to call your 1022 or your Marlin kids rifle an assault weapon. One of the terms that they have used a lot, or it's a line that you hear a lot, is, well, because you're talking about the efficacy of gun control laws and how they really don't reduce crime, never, and they don't save lives, and people do use guns for self-defense, right? So, I mean, there's an offset here. But the line they keep throwing out is, yes, but if it saves just one life, it's worth it. It's like the height of sophistry. Because if they really believed that, we would have a 10-mile-an-hour speed limit. We could save a lot of lives. But that would inconvenience them, of course. The whole, if it saves just one life. So, in the Chicago Sun-Times, I was just in Chicago yesterday, in the Chicago Sun-Times editorial page, they have this. It says that, let me make sure I get this exactly right. They said that, see, what happened was a citizen used a gun, his own gun, and he saved the life of a police officer who was being attacked. And the citizen drives up and sees what's going on, jumps out, and shoots this guy who's trying to kill this cop. But according to the Sun-Times, what they say is that saving one police officer's life does not justify the right to carry. Wait. These are the same people who told us if it saves just one life, it's worth it to have gun bans or gun control. And we're saying, but it saved this officer's life. And they're saying, well, yeah, but, that's not a reason enough. Saving a life is not a reason enough for honest, law-abiding, responsible people to carry guns for their protection and for the protection of others. I know. It's silly. I'm sitting there thinking, there's going to be some logic somewhere, but no, it's not. Just not. Holy cow. Line 3, Matthew's with us out of Metairie, Louisiana. Hey, Matthew, you're on Gun Talk.
Hey, Tom, you're talking about people in the gun rights community bashing on liberals. The term really doesn't mean anything anymore because I don't think the people who oppose us are liberal. They're authoritarian progressive. People think I'm a liberal because I question the effectiveness of the war on drugs. They think I'm a right-wing nut because I question the effectiveness of the war on poverty.
See, you just don't know which T-shirt you're supposed to wear, do you?
Because I believe in national borders.
Well, I know what you mean. It's like, when I get to talk to people, I say, okay, here's the deal. I support gun rights emphatically. I oppose the death penalty. They go, what? I say, yeah, and I probably are okay with legalizing a lot of drugs to try to take the crime out of it. So somewhere in there, I'm conservative, I'm liberal, or libertarian. I think, generally speaking, I'm in the leave me the hell alone libertarian bent.
Yeah, so if you support national borders, and then the libertarians will call you an authoritarian.
Well, I remember some teacher way back said that everybody thinks they're in the middle. And to a certain extent, that's true. You may say, well, I'm conservative, but I'm not like way over on the right. Okay, right. Or, I tend to be on the left, but I'm not really way over on the left. And everybody tends to think of himself or herself as kind of somewhere in the middle. I don't think that's physically possible that everybody's in the middle. I think there've got to be some out on the edges. Hey, Matthew, thank you. That's an interesting point. And I want to talk about the point I'm trying to make, and the point I was making when I spoke in Chicago was your choice of language determines in part how effective you are at presenting your message. First of all, remember, when you're having a debate or a discussion with somebody who is hardcore gun banner, you're probably not going to change that person's mind. Okay, you probably aren't. But you can make some headway. But one way you don't make headway is you start calling people names. Because, well, look, if somebody starts calling you a bunch of names, are you predisposed to listen to their arguments? No, you're not. Human nature, right? You're going to shut it down. You're going to get defensive. Or when you start throwing out the language that brands people as liberals and other terms that I won't even mention here on the air, it stops the conversation. It stops communication. And it kills any opportunity you have to be listened to. So, but it makes you feel good. Ah, yes, it does, doesn't it? It makes you feel good. Because now I'm putting them down. Okay, cool. But you're losing. So the question is, do you want to feel good or do you want to win? Because there are ways to feel good about this if you get just a little bit more sophisticated in your delivery. Start off with things like, well, have you ever considered that guns are used more in self-defense than they are in murders? And then you get the, well, yeah, have you considered that actually most of the data for this comes from either central or liberal, if you will, university professor studies, and from the Centers for Disease Control and the research that they've done. So it's not the NRA. And rather than bashing, it's, are you aware, would you consider, would you at least grant me that some people use guns for self-defense? Would you grant me that? Okay. And then you can work your position. One of the things I said was, we have a lot of people who really want to be good Second Amendment advocates. But the really interesting word there is good. If you want to be a better shot, if you want to be a better golfer, if you want to be a better anything, what do? Well, you probably get a little coaching, and you do it a lot, and you practice a lot, and you critique, whether it's scoring. If you want to be a better three-gunner, you can't do that without having a score and saying, how do I improve on that? Where am I going with this? Well, where I'm going is being an advocate is a skill. It requires a number of different skills, speaking or writing or whatever it happens to be. And the point I'm making is that we can all get better at this. We can all be better. And some of us are really not very good. And unfortunately, some of the ones that are not very good on our side are also some of the ones who are very loud. Somehow thinking that volume replaces logic, and it doesn't. It just makes you loud and ineffective. I remember a guy, a long time ago, I was the editor of Rifle and Hand Loader magazines, technical magazines about guns and hand loading. And this guy he was a writer, he kept sending me articles for me to publish, and I would read them and send them back. I'd reject them. And after several of those, he said, I don't understand this. He said, I have hundreds of books on hand loading and rifles and the history of guns and military guns and all that. And I said, yeah, okay, that's great. How many books do you have on writing? Because you see, I'm not buying your expertise, I'm buying your writing. And my point here is that just because you know about gun rights doesn't mean you have the skill set you need to deliver the message. If you want to get real serious about this, if you want to be better at this, maybe a little training, maybe a little study, maybe a little practice, maybe you just get together with 2 or 3 of your friends, get together with somebody who's good at it and say, hey, how do I get better at this? That's honest. That'll work. When we come back, let's talk about things like workplace safety, workplace shootings. What can you do? Are there things you can do with a gun, without a gun? How do you protect yourself? And this is also information you want to share with your family. We'll be right back.
Good morning, Mr. Gresham. Your mission, should you decide to accept it, is to host a radio show that will bring truth and common sense to the discussion of firearms rights in this country. Good luck, Tom, to you and your Tom Gresham's Gun Talk team.
All right, welcome back to Gun Talk. The number here is 866-TALK-GUN if you'd like to join us, or Tom Talk Gun. That'll also get you in there. A lot of stories in the news. Workplace violence, workplace shootings, workplace attacks, and of course every other place. And as you think about, what am I going to do? What would I do? What could I do? What's the policy at my office, at my place of work? What would my family do? Do they know what to do? I don't pretend to be an expert, but I do hang around experts. And one of the guys who's my absolute go-to guy on this is Greg Lapin from the VATA group, because he has been there, done that. SWAT, cop, overseas work, high-level VIP protection, you name it, pretty much he's done it. Greg, how you doing, man?
Tom, I'm good. How you doing? You're making me blush.
Well, you know what we say about this is, man, the guy cannot hold a job.
No. Hey, working's overrated. You know that.
I hear you, friend. All right, so here's the deal. I know one of the things that you guys do is you teach workplace safety. What do you do if, and obviously you teach anything from beginning to very, very high-end firearms use, but also, what do you do if you don't have a firearm? Because you really kind of have to be prepared for both sides of it, don't you?
100%. And, I mean, even gunfighters will tell you that the last possible thing they want is to be in a gunfight. A gunfight connotates someone else is shooting at you as well. We want, there's a difference between a shooting and a gunfight. A shooting is usually one-sided. A gunfight is, a gunfight's an exchange. But
which is to be avoided.
Exactly, absolutely. And I don't want to say it can always be avoided. Obviously the situation dictates, but situational awareness, our mind is the first weapon. Our mind is the primary weapon. So.
All right, well, explain what you mean by that. You're in a work situation. You're in an office or a workplace or something. What do you mean when you say my mind is the first weapon?
Well, people get comfortable in their little worlds, and they're sitting at their desk with their headphones on, maybe listening to Tom Gresham, a podcast or something. Which, hey, good for them. But people block out the world around them. Whether they're on their phone with their earbuds in, or talking on their phone, or they're literally staring down at the ground as they walk down the street, not paying attention to their surroundings. And a lot of things that we teach what's called pre-incident indicators. Pre-incident indicators are body language, sound, noises, movement, contrast, color, movement, stuff like that don't fit the norm. And those can go a long way.
Well, part of that is, and what you're saying is, get rid of the sensory deprivation devices that rob you of the ability to even know what's going on. But the other part of that, I think, and if you would talk about the need to go back to your kind of caveman senses where you actually pay attention to the warning signals. Because people were always saying, it didn't look right, it didn't sound right, it was kind of goofy, but I didn't really do anything about it.
Absolutely. That's one of the first things that I talk about when I teach some of these commercial, civilian, business, self-awareness, security-related seminars that I give is that you don't need to be in the FBI. You don't need to be a special operations soldier to have senses and have instincts. We all have a survival instinct. That's part of human nature is to survive and live. And we all have a survival instinct. The problem is nowadays we live in such a politically correct society that people are afraid to do anything about it because they don't want to offend someone else. So when the hair stands up on the back of your neck and you think something's not right, but you're not exactly sure why, pay attention to it. Is there a person walking on the sidewalk behind you that just gives you the heebie-jeebies, Well, cross the street. Cross the street. Well, I don't want to offend that person. Who cares? The thing for me is if they don't cross the street, then your suspicion was probably unfounded. However, if they do cross the street shortly thereafter that's a confirmation, what we'd call a pre-incident indicator. That is, you have just confirmed your supposed irrational, fear. Now you've confirmed it. Now it makes it rational. Now you need to take steps to further protect yourself.
And people say, well, then what do I do? Well, it could be as simple as stepping into a store where there are other people. Get off the street. I mean, that would be one thing you could do. You could, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, 100%, absolutely. Go into a store. Make it look like you're shopping.
Yeah, exactly. You don't have to be a ninja to do a lot. A lot of times you could just, and the thing is, and this is the hard part, is if you do something like that and then later on, he kept going, you can then screw yourself up with a bad debrief, if you will, by going back and saying, well, you know what, it was probably nothing. You can't do that, because if you do that, then the next time you will not act appropriately. You have to say, I don't know if that was something, but I did something and it worked and I'm safe, and so I'm going to keep doing whatever it is that thing was I did to avoid the situation.
100%. And, like I tell people, take an action to either confirm or deny your suspicion. That's a big thing when we do surveillance and counter-surveillance. One of the big lessons is that you need to confirm your suspicion. Because when you think someone's following you, all of a sudden everyone's following you, even if they're not. You need to have a rational. You need to have rational means of confirming that, and that's why I tell people cross the street, do something. If they cross the street, then that's confirmed your irrational suspicion. And
if you're in your car, make 3 right turns. If they're still behind you, there's a problem.
That's pretty much it. That's exactly right. And go into a store. If there's no store, walk up to a door, knock on the door like you belong there. When the person comes to the door and doesn't know who the heck you are, by that time, the person behind you's probably already gone on their way, or realize, they're going to meet someone. This is not a good place, and make up. Hey, I'm sorry, I saw my dog run back here. Have you seen a little dog? Or whatever. Most people are good.
That's a good point. Most people are good. It's not paranoia. You're just paying attention to your surroundings. Hey, Greg, can I get you to hold for just a second? I'd love to keep you for another 5 minutes or so. Are you okay with that?
Yep, absolutely.
Okay, we'll do that. We're talking with Greg Lapin from the VATA Group, a guy who has been there, done that in an awful lot of parts of the world. If you've got a question about this, absolutely give us a holler, and we'll continue this. Also want to talk when we come back. Okay, you're in your place of work. Something really does start going down. What do you do? Our number, 866-TALK-GUN. I'm Tom Gresham.
Your everyday carry advantage. The new M&P Shield M2.0 pistol from Smith & Wesson has the enhancements of the M2.0 line with aggressive grip texture and a crisp and lighter trigger pull. Extremely thin and lightweight. You can carry it all day. Also available with an integrated crimson trace laser in 9 or 40. The M&P Shield M2.0. Visit smith-wesson.com.
Tired of searching the web for the best deals on guns, ammunition, and gear? Download the free Gun Dealio app today for deals and discounts right at your fingertips. Handguns, rifles, shotguns, ammo, optics, lasers, gun safes, targets, gun cleaners, grips, slings, and much, much more. Save money on products you want from the companies you love. New deals, discounts, and rebates added daily. Gun Dealio, available for free in the App Store and Google Play.
Maximize your firepower and accuracy with Remington's new Model 1911 R1 Limited Double Stack. Up to 19+1 double stack capacity, so you can spend more time shooting and less time loading. Next level accuracy and handling with a 5-inch ramped match-grade barrel and adjustable match-grade trigger for greater precision. Learn more at remington.com/handguns. The new Remington Model 1911 R1 Limited Double Stack. Welcome to a new era at Remington.
We're back with you, talking with Greg Lapin, talking about specifically about workplace violence or just things that happen out there, and kind of the pay attention, be aware, take out those earbuds for heaven's sakes. You couldn't even tell if a truck was running down upon you with those things in. Just get rid of those. Pay attention to the world around you. But also, now, if you would, Greg, and you guys teach some really interesting things, because you do instruction for people who can't or don't carry guns. I mean, if we have guns, we've got one course of action. But if you're in your office and you hear something, and sometimes it just starts like with a loud argument or somebody getting loud, doesn't it?
Absolutely. I mean, we all know what normal sounds of our workplace or our environment are like. And, anything other than normal is abnormal. You pay attention to it.
Okay, so somebody comes in, they start to lose it, and it's a disgruntled employee or former employee, or it is a strange husband. I mean, and this is one of the things that happens, man. The guy goes Looney Tunes and decides to go in for whatever reason to his ex-wife's place of work and start shooting up the place.
Oh, absolutely, it can be for any number of reasons, and realistically, the way it happens is really the same regardless of the reason. And everybody's got to figure out. Everyone's going to have their different sense of duty,
Okay.
For me, I've made this very clear. If I'm with my wife or kids, everyone else around is inconsequential. If I'm with my wife or kids, I'm the AIC of that protection detail, and my wife and kids are the only ones that matter, and everyone else is really inconsequential until my wife and kids are safe.
You're going to protect your wife and kids. You're going to get them out of there, or you're going to hunker down, but you're going to protect them. But you're not going to go protect other people. Is what you're saying?
Exactly. If my wife and kids are with me, it doesn't matter who else is around. I could care less. You know.
Okay, makes sense to me, and I think it's good. It's good to have that in your mind, so you know that's my course of action.
Yeah, absolutely. And then, with that being said, everybody is going to have a different sense of duty, a different course of action. And I can't tell people what they need to do. I can just essentially make people aware of what's out there, the options they have, how to try and maintain some sort of logical thought process when you're in fear of your life.
Give me an idea of 2 or 3 things that are found in offices that people can use if they don't have firearms, and use them in different ways.
Well, you know, some of the stuff we talk about when we talk about workplace shootings, and specifically, you know, you have a couple courses of action. One, you can barricade in place. You know, you can barricade in your office. Some of the stuff we see that we can use to barricade doors is some of the like that Cat5 cable, the cables that you use for computers and internet, the Ethernet type stuff.
Right.
Those are very strong. You can use those around door handles, tie them to doors and other parts of the office or heavy conference tables to barricade doors locked. That on doors that a lot of times in offices won't lock for safety and security reasons. Fire extinguishers. Fire extinguishers are great for putting out fires, but they're great for hitting people with. What type of fire extinguisher is it? Is it a water-based fire extinguisher? Is it a dry chemical fire extinguisher that emits a big kind of plume of smoke that you can use for distraction and or almost like we would use a smoke grenade to cover movement and egress out of a hallway or out of an emergency exit. Stuff like that. Blunt objects, letter openers. Hey, letter openers like an ice pick. You know, it's great for stabbing people. You got to be imaginative. It requires you to look.
You got to use your imagination. You got to think about it, and you have to talk to people. And this is where, honestly, I always tell people, you can't think of all this stuff yourself because you have other jobs, you have other things you do, and that's why we go to trainers. That's why we get your DVDs that you have, because you guys think about that all the time. That's what you do for a living.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, you've got to, you know, I hate to say it, unless you've been taught these things or been in places where you're looking around going, you know what, if the you know what hits the fan right now, what am I grabbing to hit this guy in the head with so I can take his AK-47? You know, and I hate to say it, I've been there, you know.
Yeah, and oh, by the way, everybody needs to know how to run an AK-47 because chances are, throughout the world, that's the gun you're most likely to pick up.
Yeah, that's probably the most proliferate, you know, assault rifle or you know, combat-style rifle you'll find.
You know, it's that old deal of, I may not have a gun right now, but I may be having a gun in a minute. Hey, Greg, I appreciate everything you do. You always lend the common sense element to this. It's not Rambo and it's not ninja stuff. A lot of it is kind of common sense, but you got to go there in your head.
Absolutely. You know, being tough is way overrated. There's no good or not good. There's no tough or untough. There's just trained. You know, there's trained or untrained, and I'd rather be trained.
There you go. Greg Lapin, thank you so much. I appreciate that very much. Always a pleasure.
Thanks, Tom. Take care.
You bet. All right, now that he's not there, that's so funny. From one of the toughest guys I know who has been there, who has been trained. But a lot of things to pull from that. All right, our number here is 866-TALK-GUN. What's the policy at your work? Can you carry a gun? Can you have one there? What do you do? Do you carry anyway or not? All right, straight to the phones. Line 3. Jim's with us out of Shreveport, Louisiana. Hello, Jim. You're on Gun Talk.
Hello.
Yes, sir.
Good morning. Well, I just wanted to say I just love your show. Every time I come through Louisiana, I try to listen to you.
Well, I appreciate it. I hope you could listen to it. You could hear it all over the country, so chances are if you poke around, you can find it anywhere you go.
Oh, yeah. But like I was listening to you earlier about that police officer, civilian come and help the police officer to save his life. Well, I would do that the same way because I'm ex-military, ex-law enforcement. You know, I was in Operation Enduring Freedom and Operation Desert Storm. And I agree with civilians out here to have assault weapons because, number one, it's your American right to have right to bear arms. Doesn't matter what kind of weapon you got, you know. And plus, I think... Go ahead.
No, I was going to say, and of course, the whole idea is that what the gun banners call an assault weapon is nothing more than just a rifle. It's just a standard old rifle.
That's all it is. The next thing the next thing they're going to do is take away BB guns and pellet guns?
In some places, and well, like I said, right now in Washington State, their so-called assault weapons bill includes 22 rifles. I'm talking about squirrel rifles. They're categorizing those as assault weapons that you would have to register and re-register annually, and it comes with severe penalties if you don't. Squirrel rifles, for heaven's sakes. And they're conning the public into thinking these are some kind of evil, horrible, high-powered rifles because they can use this term that they have created, assault weapon. Doesn't mean anything, but the public thinks they know what it means. In fact, I'll tell you what, it's interesting. If you ask people who don't know about guns what is an assault weapon, they will tell you it's a machine gun. That's the interesting part. Hey, Jim, look, I appreciate you calling in. I appreciate your service. It's an interesting thing. When we all have to make up our minds really beforehand, what am I going to do? What is my plan? And as Greg Lapin said, it's situational. You know, he said, look, if I have my wife and my kids with me, he says, I'm not protecting anybody else. You're on your own. And I've heard other people put it a different way. Say, well, you should have brought your own gun. Well, what are you doing dependent upon me or the police or anybody else? But his point is he's going to gather them up and he's going to get them out of there. He's going to do executive VIP protection because your wife and your children are VIPs. I guarantee, as we say down south. So you need to think about that. If this happens, what will I do? Well, I don't know. What's the situation? Who's with you? Who's getting attacked? Are you getting attacked, or are you witnessing someone else getting attacked? Do you really want to insert yourself into that situation? Well, I don't know. If someone's trying to kill a police officer, yeah, probably. I got that figured out. I can tell who the bad guy is. But if there are two guys going to town over there, I don't know who's on who. Maybe one of them's a good guy and one of them's a bad guy. Maybe both of them are the bad guys. And here's the deal. There's no guarantee just because you're the good guy that you come away unscathed. You can get beaten, you can get stabbed, you can get shot, you can get killed doing that. Just saying, you need to go there in your head before you go there with your body because you better figure this thing out ahead of time. What that does also is it reduces your reaction time. If you know what you're going to do, you don't have to make a decision on the spot. If you sit there in your big easy chair and you play all these what-ifs, you have programmed your brain. You are ready to go. All right, 866-TALK-GUN. When we come back, we'll be taking your calls. We're also going to talk with a guy who was in one of the most famous gun fights of all time.